Okay, so the chances are if you've made it this far, you've got a pretty good idea about how you could set up a main menu. So I'll try and keep this one pretty short and just highlight a couple of issues that would help make it a bit less painful. The first thing is, like, if you're going to make a menu, you're going to need a new level. So it might just be that you right click in here and make a blank level, which is perfect if you're going to do just pure UI. So if your menu is going to be fully 2D, great. But quite a lot of games, and some of your games, you might want to use part of the environment. So say, for example, I wanted my main menu to just sort of frame this chunk of level. What you could do is duplicate this level. So I could select it, right click and duplicate, or press Ctrl W and just rename this to maybe main menu and start working in there. The problem obviously is that when you hit play in this main menu, we're in control of a character, so we need to make a couple of edits. First thing is that I want a camera, so I was deliberately sort of floating around here. So I'll just put my camera somewhere, and then in the place actors panel I'm going to search for camera, bring one in, right click on it and snap it to my view so it just sees what I see. And there's a really quick and easy way to make it automatically display as well. So with the camera selected, I want to make it where are we? I've got the world settings selected. In my details panel, I want to make this camera auto activate to player 0. So auto player activation there, a lot of scrolling, is set to player 0. So now when I hit play, we're viewing through this camera, but I'm still in control of that main character, and you can see I'm firing there. So not quite ideal. I've still got the UI, which is in the way. So there's still some changes to be made, but we're getting there. And if I jump back to the root content folder, what you'll notice that's been sat there all along is this VSP game mode, and that's the key. So this VSP game mode holds a bunch of information about how this game works. Like, more specifically, it tells levels which sort of character the player should be in control of. So I'm actually going to duplicate it, Control W, and using the same naming convention, I'm going to call it menu_game mode. And just make a really quick edit to this duplicate. So if I open it, the one thing I want to change is that this default pawn class isn't the first person character. I don't want to spawn into this level with a first person character, so I'm going to change that to none. Compile that and save it. And need to set it as the game mode for this particular map. So in the world settings there, this game mode override I'm going to change to menu game mode, which means now this particular level will be treated as a menu. It won't spawn in a player. So when you hit play, we're just viewing through this camera. We're not interacting with anything, which is spot on. And from there, you can go about making your widget again. So I'll just make a very, very quick one. I notice as I've been going, I've used the word HUD wrong just for the sake of keeping my naming convention. So yeah, I apologize for that, but for the sake of a lecture, I'm going to let myself off. So I've just used HUD so that I can see which widget blueprints I've made, because they've all got HUD at the end. But really the only one that's a HUD is the player HUD, isn't it? I'd say any that are buttons probably should have just been called menus. Now I've got this menu HUD. I'm just going to throw one button in there for the sake of having it do something. But you can obviously flesh it out. I'm just going to put some text in that button, and that text can say task 1, and you can scale it up to make this menu link to all of your other tasks. Size that button to the content, and just really quickly with the button selected, I am going to give it an on-clicked event that is going to open level. And that level for this particular button is task_1. So hopefully you realize you can just make multiple buttons that link to different tasks. Compile it and save it. And then in my level blueprint now, because I don't have a player in here, so I can't go to the first person character blueprint to spawn this menu. In the level blueprint for my menu, don't need the tick, but in begin play, I'm going to create a widget. That widget is going to be the menu HUD, and it's going to be owned by the player controller. So even though we're not in control of a player, we still have a controller for input and stuff. We need to add this to viewport. And then all the other usual stuff for making sure we can access the buttons. So we want to show the mouse. So set show mouse cursor, make sure that is turned on. And let's set the input mode. So input mode to UI only. That can be set to that widget and that player. And what else might we need to do? So we've made the widget, added it, shown the mouse, set the input mode. I think that's probably okay. Obviously do any extra bits you need, but if I compile that and play, you can see that I get that button there. So you might have task 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spread across. Make use of anchors so that it scales properly with screen size and so on. And if you're feeling like you want to push this further, you can jump into Unreal's documentation on the UMG where they actually make like a quality menu, so you can change the resolution, and that's where your anchors become really important. Let's make sure this works. It takes me to task 1. All the stuff that we've done to the player controller, player character, echoes across, so that's all good. And that's probably enough for your main menu. Just make sure you're saving things as you go, and then I'll finish up this particular lecture with just a tiny bit of animation. We'll leave it there.